The night was supposed to be quiet, calm, and normal. The human student sat in his small dorm room, books open on the desk, pen tapping softly against the page. Outside the window, rain started to fall, first as a light drizzle, then heavy drops that slapped against the glass. Thunder rolled across the alien city, louder each time. The lights in the building flickered, once, twice, and then dimmed. He sighed and leaned back in his chair. He had lived here for weeks now, among students, from different planets, sharing spaces and rules he barely understood. His roommate was one of them, an alien girl with eyes that glowed faintly in the dark. She was strange, quiet, and always kept to herself. He didn't know much about her, only that she spoke in short words, avoided human touch, and locked her door every night. But tonight something felt different. The storm outside seemed to reach inside the walls, shaking the whole building, and with every thunderclap the air in the room felt heavier. He rubbed his arms, a chill crawling over his skin, then stopped. It wasn't cold. No, it was the opposite. The air felt hot, too hot for a night storm. Pushed open the window a little, expecting the rain to cool the air, but instead it only brought in more heat, like the storm itself carried fire instead of water. Confused, he closed it again and sat on the edge of his bed. That was when he heard it. A soft sound from the other side of the thin wall. His alien roommate. She never made noise at night. Never. But now he heard her breathing, quick and uneven, then a whisper so low it almost disappeared under the thunder. He froze, listening. At first he thought she was talking to someone, maybe a call, but then her words cut through the storm. Not now. Not yet, she whispered, her voice trembling. The human's chest tightened. Something was wrong. He stood and walked to her door. He raised his hand, ready to knock, but stopped when he heard another sound. Her heartbeat, fast, heavy, pounding through the wall, like a drum. He stepped back, unsure if he should disturb her. Then the lights in the dorm went out. Complete darkness swallowed the hallway. Only the storm outside gave light through quick flashes. In one of those flashes, he saw it, her shadow under the door, pacing back and forth, restless like an animal trapped. His throat went dry. He forced a laugh under his breath, telling himself it was just nerves. Storms always made people restless. But deep down, he knew this was not normal. The air grew hotter still, his shirt clinging to his skin. Every breath felt heavy, like the room had no space left for oxygen. He wiped sweat from his brow and whispered to himself, "What the hell is happening?" Then, as if the storm answered him, thunder cracked so loud it shook the walls, and her voice came again, this time louder, desperate. "Stay away. Don't come close to me." The human froze where he stood, his hand trembled near her door. He could hear her struggling, gasping, like fighting something inside herself. His instincts screamed to open the door to help, but another part of him warned that stepping inside might change everything. Lightning flashed through the window, lighting up the room for only a second. In that second he saw her eyes through the small gap at the bottom of the door, glowing brighter than ever. Before, burning in the dark, the storm raged outside, but the real danger was here, inside the dorm, trapped with him. And he realized then, this was only the beginning. The storm outside grew stronger, but inside the dorm it felt like fire. The human paced in his room, wiping sweat from his forehead. His skin burned as if the walls themselves were radiating heat. He had never felt anything like this before, not even on the hottest summer nights back on Earth. From the other side of the wall he heard her again, her breath sharp and uneven. Every gasp sounded painful. Her footsteps moved quickly, as if she was circling the room. At times she muttered, words in her alien language, low and broken, but then her voice cracked into clear human speech. "It hurts. I can't hold it." The human's chest tightened. He couldn't just stand here. He had to at least check if she was all right. He moved toward her door, hand hesitating above the knob. But before he could knock, her trembling voice broke. "Through, don't open. Please." Her words were shaky, almost begging. He stepped back, confused. Why was she warning him? If she was in pain, why push him away? His heart pounded with questions, but none had answers. The air was suffocating. His shirt clung to him, every breath shallow. He pushed his window wide open, hoping the rain would cool him. But instead the storm wind only carried more heat, like a furnace disguised as a storm. He cursed under his breath and slammed it shut. From her room came a sudden thud, followed by a gasp. He jumped, his hand going instinctively to the wall as if he could steady her from this side. He leaned close, whispering, "Are you all right in there? What's happening?" For a moment there was silence, only the thunder rolling outside. Then her voice came, strained and rough. "You don't understand. It's starting. The season." He frowned. "Season? What season?" Her reply was almost a growl, her words breaking between heavy breaths. "My kind. We enter heat. Once every cycle. It makes us lose control. It's happening now." The human's eyes widened. He stepped back from the door, suddenly understanding the warning in her voice. This was not just sickness, not just stress. It was something primal, biological, and dangerous. She continued, almost whispering through clenched teeth, "You must stay away. If I get close, I won't stop." A chill crawled over his skin, though the room burned around him. He had never heard her speak with such raw desperation. Her usual calm and distant self was gone, replaced by someone trembling on the edge of madness. Then, silence. Too much silence. He pressed his ear against the door, straining to hear. At first nothing. Then, soft scratching against the wood, slow, steady, like claws dragging. His heart hammered. Every instinct told him to run, yet he couldn't move. Suddenly, the scratching stopped, replaced by a low whisper. His name. She had never spoken his name before, not once since they became roommates, but now in the darkness her voice carried it, heavy with need. "Please, help me." The human stepped back, his hands shaking. He didn't know if she was begging for relief or warning him again. He looked at the locked door, knowing one choice could change everything. Lightning flashed, thunder roared, and in that instant, he realized the storm outside was nothing compared to the storm waiting on the other side of that door, and the heat between them was only getting stronger. The human stood frozen by the door, his heart racing like a drum in his chest. Her whisper still echoed in his ears. The way she spoke his name sent chills down his spine. He had lived with her for weeks, yet she had never spoken it before, not once. Now hearing it in the dark, storm-filled night made everything feel different, heavier. He pressed his palm to the door, the wood warm beneath his touch. Too warm, as if her heat was leaking through the walls. His instincts screamed to open it, to check on her, but her warning replayed in his head again and again. "If I lose control, don't let me out." He swallowed hard and pulled his hand back. He could hear her breathing on the other side, shaky, desperate, broken like a creature fighting itself. Then suddenly her voice came again, this time sharper, clearer, like a knife cutting through the storm. "Human, listen to me," she said, her tone almost commanding. "This is not a sickness. This is not something you can fix. It is our season, our curse, and once it starts, it only grows stronger." His mouth went dry. He wanted to ask questions, but his throat locked. Still, he forced words out. "What do you mean? How long does it last?" Her silence lasted only a moment, but it felt endless. Then she answered, voice trembling. "Cycles, weeks, sometimes longer. We are trapped in it until it burns out, but until then, I am not safe to be near you." The human stepped back, his skin clammy with sweat despite the heat. His chest rose and fell quickly. "You mean, you'll lose control?" he whispered. She let out a bitter laugh, the sound low and haunting. "Lose control? Yes, you do not understand what that means to us. Mating season is not a choice, it is hunger, it is fire, and it does not stop until it is fed." His legs trembled. He gripped the edge of the wall to steady himself. This was more than he ever expected. He thought living with an alien would be strange, Maybe awkward, but not dangerous like this. Not life-changing. He tried to speak again, but before he could, the door shook. Her hands slammed against it, and he stumbled back in fear. Through the small gap at the bottom, he saw her glowing eyes again, brighter than before. Her voice cracked, part anger, part desperation. "I warned you, human. Do not open this door, do not tempt me. If you do, you won't escape." His chest tightened, his instincts screamed to run, to get as far away from this dorm as possible. But the storm outside roared like a beast. The exits locked automatically for safety during alien lightning strikes. He was trapped, both by the storm and by her. He sat down on his bed, head in his hands. Sweat dripped down his forehead. His body told him to rest, but his mind replayed her words. Hunger. Fire. No escape. Then he heard it again. Her whisper, softer this time, almost like a plea. "I don't want to hurt you. Please don't let me out." For the first time, he heard fear in her voice. Not just hunger or warning, but true fear. She wasn't only fighting him, she was fighting herself. The human looked at the door, his chest heavy with conflict. He knew one thing for certain. Whatever this season was, whatever madness it brought, it had only just begun, and neither of them could hide from it for long. The power in the dorm flickered once, then vanished. Darkness swallowed the hallway. Only the storm outside gave short bursts of light when lightning flashed. For a moment, the human sat still on his bed, listening. The rain hammered the windows. Thunder shook the walls, but beneath it all, there was another sound, her voice. It came soft at first, like a whisper carried by the storm. His name stretched out, fragile and trembling. The sound of it made his heart race. He leaned forward, straining to hear. At first he thought his mind was playing tricks, but then he heard it again, louder this time, more urgent. "Come to me." He froze. His hands curled into fists. Every muscle in his body screamed to stay still. Yet something in her tone pulled at him. A need, a plea, but also something darker, something primal. He whispered back, though he wasn't sure why. I can hear you." The air shifted, thicker, hotter. His breath caught in his throat. Through the silence, her breathing echoed, heavy, uneven, almost animal-like. Then her voice broke again, trembling with both pain and desire. "It burns. Inside, I can't stop it." The human swallowed hard, his mind screamed to run, but there was nowhere to run. The storm outside sealed the exits. The storm inside trapped him even worse. He backed against the wall, eyes fixed on the door. His roommate was on the other side, yet her voice seemed to move around him, as if the darkness itself carried her words. Then came a soft scratching, nails against the door, slow and deliberate. The sound crawled up his spine. He held his breath. Lightning flashed, and in that second he saw her shadow pressed against the door, head tilted, eyes glowing faintly through the gap below. His stomach dropped. "Why are you hiding from me?" she whispered, her tone low, broken but strangely sweet. "You smell different. You make it worse. But also better." He shook his head, whispering to himself, "This can't be real. This isn't happening." But the heat in the room told him it was very real. His heart pounded, his palms slick with sweat. Her whisper came again, softer this time, almost sad. "I don't want to hurt you, but I need you." His throat went dry. He had never felt so conflicted. Part of him wanted to help, to comfort her, but the other part screamed that opening the door meant disaster. He pressed his back harder to the wall, whispering, "Stay, strong, just until morning." Then came a sudden thud. She slammed her palm against the door, the wood shuddering, his body jolted in fear. The glow of her eyes flashed brighter in the gap, and her voice rose, no longer a whisper, but a growl. "Don't ignore me. I can smell you. I can feel you. You can't hide." The human's breath came fast. He stumbled back from the door, knocking his chair over. In the silence after the crash, he realized something terrifying. Her whispers had stopped. The air grew heavier, thicker, as if the darkness itself was waiting. Then slowly, carefully, she whispered again, directly into the crack of the door, so close he could almost feel her breath. "You can't last the night without me." His chest tightened, his hands shook. The storm outside roared with lightning and thunder, but it was nothing compared to the storm pressing against his door. And in that dark silence he realized one thing. The whispers were no longer coming from across the wall. They were already inside his head. The storm outside was a beast roaring and crashing against the walls, but inside the dorm the true danger grew louder. The human sat frozen in the dark, sweat dripping down his temple. Every second stretched longer, filled with silence broken only by her whispers. Her voice circled his mind, pulling him closer even as fear screamed for him to stay away. Then it happened, a sharp crack. The door shuddered under a sudden impact. He jumped to his feet, eyes wide. His roommate had thrown herself against the barrier. Another slam followed, louder, harder. The wooden frame groaned as if it couldn't take much more. His chest tightened. His breath came in short gasps. He backed away, stumbling over the chair. On the floor, he whispered to himself, "No, she can't break it. It's locked. It'll hold." But even he didn't believe his own words. Another slam. The door rattled. Dust fell from the top frame. He could see it shake with each strike. Lightning flashed through the window, and in that burst of light, he saw her glowing eyes through. The crack at the bottom brighter, hotter. Filled with a hunger that made his stomach twist, then came her voice, trembling but sharp. "I warned you, but now I can't stop. I need out." His pulse thundered louder than the storm. He tried to push his desk against the door, hands shaking, his muscles strained as he shoved the heavy wood. The desk screeched against the floor, but before he could secure it, another slam sent him sprawling back. The desk shifted slightly, the lock groaned. "Please, don't do this," he whispered. But his voice shook with fear. The door cracked, just a hairline split, but enough for him to see her fingers push through, clawing at the wood. The sight made his stomach churn. Her skin glowed faintly, her nails, sharper than he'd ever noticed. She was changing. Or maybe this was who she always was beneath the calm mask. Her breathing grew louder, echoing like a drumbeat in the dark. Then her words slipped through the gap, low and desperate. "Don't be afraid. I don't want to kill you. I only want you." His knees nearly buckled. He stepped back until his shoulders hit the wall. The storm rattled the windows, but his eyes stayed fixed on the door, each slam stronger, each crack wider. Finally, with a deafening crash, the lock snapped. The door flew open, the desk scraped uselessly aside, and she stood there framed by the darkness of her room. Her hair clung to her damp face, her eyes glowing like molten fire. Her chest rose and fell with heavy breaths, every inhale sounding like a growl. Her body trembled as if fighting its own strength, but her gaze was locked on him. Only him. He stumbled back, his hands searching blindly for something to defend himself, his fingers wrapped around the broken chair leg on the floor. He lifted it like a weapon, though his hands shook. For a moment she didn't move. Her lips parted, her teeth sharp against the faint lightning glow. Then she stepped forward, slow, deliberate. Every step made the heat in the room rise. His skin burned under her presence. "Run if you want," she whispered, voice heavy. "But I will find you." His heart nearly stopped. Sweat soaked his shirt. The storm outside howled, but it was nothing compared to the storm in her eyes, and in that moment, with the door broken wide open, he knew the night would never be the same again. The broken door hung loose on its hinges, splinters scattered across the floor. The human's grip tightened on the chair leg, his knuckles white. Across the room, his alien roommate stepped forward, slow and steady. Her glowing eyes never left his face. Her breaths came out in heavy waves, filling the air with heat. He moved back one step, then another. His chest rose and fell quickly. His voice cracked when he spoke. "Stay there. Don't come closer." But she did not listen. Her lips curled into something between a grimace and a plea. Her body trembled like she was fighting herself. The storm outside crashed with thunder, shaking the windows. He turned and bolted into the hallway. His footsteps echoed against the walls. Behind him, he heard her bare feet slapping the floor, faster, heavier. His lungs burned as he sprinted past the dim corridor, lightning giving him short flashes of light. She was quicker. He could hear her closing in. Each time he stumbled, her steps slowed, but when he pushed harder, she grew faster again. It was like she was teasing him, hunting but not striking. He rounded the corner into the kitchen space. Sliding across the floor, he grabbed a stool and tossed it behind him, hoping to slow her down. The stool clattered, but she leapt over it with ease, landing silently, her glowing eyes cut through the dark like twin blades. He ducked into the common lounge, panting. His heart hammered so loudly he feared she could track him just by sound. He crouched behind the couch, gripping the chair leg tighter. The heat of the air pressed against him, sweat dripping down his forehead. Then he heard it, her voice soft and haunting, floating through the shadows. Why do you run? You don't understand. I don't want to hurt you. I just need you. His body trembled. He pressed his back to the couch, whispering to himself, Don't listen. Keep moving. Survive the night. The silence broke. Her steps came closer, slow, careful. He peeked over the edge and caught sight of her moving through the dark, her eyes glowing brighter. She sniffed the air, like a predator tracking its prey. His stomach knotted. Suddenly she turned her head straight toward him. Her lips parted into a smile, or maybe a warning. With a growl she lunged. He gasped and rolled away, the couch flipping as she crashed into it. Wood cracked, fabric tore. He scrambled back to his feet, running toward the stairwell. The hallway lights flickered once, then went dark again. He ran up the stairs 2 steps at a time. His legs ached, but fear carried him higher. Behind him, her footsteps followed, faster now, closer. Her breathing filled the stairwell, hot and ragged. On the top floor, he burst into a storage room, shoving. The door closed and bracing it with his body. His chest rose and fell like a drum. He pressed his ear to the door, listening. For a moment there was nothing but the storm, then her hand slammed against the wood hard enough to shake the hinges. He stumbled back. Her whisper came through the crack, low and trembling. You can't hide forever. I will find you. I need you. Her voice was no longer only hunger. It was pain, desperation, almost sorrow. He gripped the chair leg tight, his hands slick with sweat. His mind screamed to run again, but where could he go? The storm outside sealed the exits. The storm inside sealed his fate. In the silence that followed, he realized something chilling. She wasn't chasing him just to catch him. She was chasing him because without him, she would break apart completely, and that truth scared him more than the hunt itself. The humans, back pressed against the storage room wall. His breath came fast, shallow. His grip on the broken chair leg trembled. Every sound outside the door made his muscles tighten. The storm raged through the night, thunder shaking the building. But it was her presence he feared most. For a while there was silence. Only the rain. Then came her footsteps. Slow. Dragging. Moving past the door, his heart hammered. He closed his eyes, praying she would keep walking, but then the steps stopped. The air grew hotter, heavier, and her whisper slipped through the gap under the door. You don't understand. You make it bearable. Without you, I'll break. His throat went dry. He wanted to shout back, tell her to leave him alone. But the desperation in her voice pinned his tongue. She wasn't just hunting. She was suffering. He pressed his forehead against the wall, whispering to himself, Why me? Why now? The silence stretched again, unbearable. He knew he couldn't stay here forever. The room had no escape, no window. If she forced her way in, he'd be trapped like a cornered animal. He had to move, but his body felt heavy, torn, between fear and something else, something pulling him toward her voice. Finally, he pushed away from the wall. He opened the door slowly, peeking into the hallway. It was empty, dim, lit only by flashes of lightning. He stepped out carefully, his bare feet cold against the floor. The corridor stretched ahead, leading back to the lounge. He crept forward, chair leg raised, every step quiet. But as he reached the common room, he froze. She was there, kneeling on the floor, her hands pressed to her chest, her body shaking with every breath. Her glowing eyes lifted to him, filled, not with rage but with tears. He stopped dead in his tracks. The chair leg felt suddenly heavy in his hands. She looked broken, like a creature torn apart from the inside. Her voice cracked as she whispered, "Please, don't run anymore." "I can't take it." His stomach twisted. He expected her to leap, to strike. But instead she lowered her head, her whole body trembled. She looked less like a predator now, and more like a prisoner chained by her own biology. Cautiously, he stepped closer. His mind screamed it was a trap, but something in her voice told him otherwise. He kept the chair leg raised, just in case. "What do you want from me?" he asked, his tone shaky. Her glowing eyes met his again, wet with tears. "Not want, need. You calm it. When you're close, the fire weakens. I don't know why, but if you leave me alone, it will consume me." His grip on the chair leg loosened. The storm thundered behind them, but all he could hear was the raw pain in her voice. She wasn't lying. He could feel it. The heat in the air wasn't just around him. It was inside her, burning her alive. She reached a trembling hand toward him, stopping short of touching his arm. Her fingers shook, her breath ragged. "Please, don't turn away." He stared at her, unsure. His chest ached with conflict. Fear kept him back, but something else pushed him forward. He lowered the chair leg slowly. His heart pounded so hard it echoed in his ears. The storm outside raged on, but here in the dim common room the greater storm was in her eyes, glowing and desperate. And as he stood frozen, he realized he was no longer just her roommate. He was her only lifeline. The human stood frozen in the common room, the broken chair leg still in his hand. Across from him, she knelt on the floor, her body trembling, her glowing eyes wet with tears. For the first time he saw her not as a predator, but as something fragile, a creature trapped in her own fire. The storm outside crashed with thunder, lightning flashing across the windows, yet the silence between them was louder than the storm. He breathed heavily, sweat dripping down his face. She raised her hand again, her voice cracking as she whispered, "When you are near, it eases. The fire. It hurts less." Her words echoed in his chest. He didn't understand. He didn't want to believe, but his body felt it too. The air was unbearable when he was away from her, but standing here, only a few steps closer, the heat seemed to shift. Softer, calmer. His hand lowered the chair leg without thinking. His voice came out rough. "Why me? Why is it me that calms you?" Her lips trembled into something like a broken smile. "Humans. Your scent, your presence, it does something to us. It's rare, but when it happens, it saves us." He shook his head. "This doesn't make sense. You almost broke me in half chasing me." Her eyes lowered to the floor, shame in her glow. "Because the hunger fights me. It wants to claim, to take. But when you touched the door earlier, I felt it weaken. For the first time I could breathe." The human's chest tightened. He remembered that moment, the warmth of the door, how it seemed alive under his palm. He thought it was fear then, but now he wondered if it had been her, reaching for him through the wood. He took a step closer, slowly. His instincts screamed against it, but his heart pulled him forward. Her body trembled harder, her breath hitching. When he knelt down in front of her, she flinched, not from anger, but as if she was afraid of herself. "Look at me," he whispered. Her glowing eyes lifted, shimmering with tears. For a long moment, neither spoke. Then, without warning, she leaned forward, her forehead pressed gently against his shoulder. Her body shook with each breath, but her growl softened into a low sigh. The heat that filled the room shifted again, less suffocating, more like a heavy blanket than fire. He felt it too. His heart slowed, his fear loosening just enough to let him breathe. Her voice came muffled against him. "Stay close, please. If you move away, I'll lose myself again." His chest tightened. He wanted to push her back, to escape, but something inside him couldn't. He raised a trembling hand and placed it lightly on her arm. Her whole body eased at his touch, the tension falling from her shoulders. For the first time since the storm began, silence wrapped them. No slamming doors, no hunting steps, only the sound of her steadying breath. He realized then that he wasn't just her prey. He was her anchor. The only thing holding her back from madness. Lightning flashed again, and in that white glow he saw her face. Peaceful for the first time, but fragile, as if one wrong move could shatter her. He whispered to himself, "What have I gotten into?" But deep down he already knew the truth. This bond wasn't something he had chosen. It had chosen him, unseen, unbreakable, and whether he liked it or not, it was only growing stronger. The storm outside showed no mercy. Lightning cut across. The sky, thunder rolled through the walls, but inside the common room, the true storm had quieted. The alien girl rested against him, her head pressed to his shoulder, her glowing eyes dimmer now, softer. The human sat stiff, unsure. His heart still raced, his body tense. Yet he couldn't move. Every time he shifted even slightly, she whimpered, her hands clinging tighter to his sleeve like a child refusing to let go. He whispered, almost afraid of his own voice, "Why me? Why only me?" Her reply came broken but steady enough. "Because you stopped the fire. Without you, it eats me alive. It drives us to madness. Some never return." He stared at the wall, his grip tightening on the chair leg still beside him. The weight of her words pressed into him. He wasn't just caught in a dangerous season. He had become the only thing standing between her and destruction. Minutes dragged like hours. The storm roared, the air thick with heat. Yet each time he touched her arm, her breathing slowed, her body trembled less, and he began to notice something strange. The heat didn't burn as much when she was close. Instead, it seemed to balance as if his presence absorbed it. Her voice broke the silence again, low and raw. "You saved me. Even when I chased you, even when you feared me, you didn't leave." He almost laughed bitterly. "Leave? How could I? The storm outside has me trapped, and you broke my door." For the first time, a small smile touched her lips, weak but real. "If the storm wasn't here, would you have left me alone?" He froze. His mouth opened, but no words came. He wanted to say yes, that he would have run as far as possible, but the truth sat heavy in his chest. A part of him knew, even without the storm, he might have stayed. The silence between them thickened, not empty, but heavy with things unspoken. He glanced at her, saw her glowing eyes searching his face. She whispered again, "I was afraid you would see me as a monster. That's why I locked myself away." His throat tightened. He thought back to her cold distance since the first day they became roommates. The silence, the way she avoided him. Now it made sense. She had been protecting him, protecting herself. The storm outside began to soften, the thunder rolling slower. The night stretched long, but inside the dorm it felt like time had stopped. They sat together, her head resting on his chest now, her breath finally steady. His eyes grew heavy, but he dared not sleep. Every time he shifted, she stirred as if losing contact would break the fragile peace. He whispered more to himself than to her. "We won't make it if every night is like this." Her hand clutched his sleeve tighter and she murmured, "But you will stay, won't you?" He shut his eyes, no answer escaping his lips because deep down he already knew the answer. He would stay, not because he had no choice, but because something inside him couldn't leave her like this. The storm's rage faded into a steady rain. Dawn was still far. The night felt endless. Yet as she curled closer, he realized the danger wasn't only outside or in her season. The danger was in this bond forming between them, silent, unseen, but stronger with every passing hour, and, by the time morning came, nothing between them would ever be the same. The storm outside finally grew quiet. The thunder faded into soft echoes and the rain slowed to a gentle drizzle. The human opened his tired eyes. His body ached from sitting all night, his back pressed against the wall of the common room. The alien girl was still there, curled against him, her head resting on his chest. He didn't move. His whole body was stiff, but he was afraid that if he shifted, she would wake. For a long moment, he simply stared at her glowing eyes. now dim. No, longer burning with madness. They looked softer, almost human. Her breathing was steady. Her hand still clutched his sleeve like she feared he might vanish the second she let go. He whispered under his breath, "What am I supposed to do with you?" Sunlight pushed through the cracked blinds, golden light spilling across the ruined common room. The broken couch, the splintered door, the overturned chairs. It all looked worse in daylight, like evidence of a nightmare. But it hadn't been. A dream. Every bruise on his arms, every scratch on his skin, reminded him that the night had been real. Slowly she stirred. Her fingers tightened on his sleeve before she opened her eyes. For a moment, confusion crossed her face. Then her expression shifted into something else. Shame. Her glowing eyes flickered away, avoiding his, "You stayed," she whispered, her voice hoarse. He gave a short, bitter laugh. "I didn't have much choice, did I? The storm had me locked in and well, you broke my door down." Her lips pressed together, guilt flickering in her expression. "I'm sorry. I didn't want to. I warned you, but I couldn't control it." He shook his head. "You nearly tore the place apart. You nearly tore me apart. And now you're sorry." Her voice cracked, trembling. "You don't understand. Without you, I would have lost myself completely. I would have gone feral. I might never have come back." His chest tightened. He didn't want to believe her, but he remembered the look in her eyes last night, the pain, the desperation, the fear. She hadn't just been a predator. She had been fighting against something bigger than herself. She sat up slowly, pulling her knees to her chest. The morning light touched her face, and for the first time he noticed how fragile she looked. Her hands shook slightly, her eyes lowered. She whispered, "No one has ever stayed with me during this season. They all run or they lock me away, but you stayed." He rubbed his forehead, his thoughts a storm of their own. Stayed, or trapped. Maybe both. She looked at him then, her glowing eyes glistening. "But you saved me. Do you realize that, human? You calmed the fire. You made me endure what should have broken me." The weight of her words pressed heavily on him. He wanted to deny it, to push her away, but he couldn't forget the way her body had softened against him, the way her voice had shifted from growls to whispers when he touched her. Something inside him knew she was right. Silence stretched between them, filled only by the drip of rain outside. Finally, she broke it, her voice trembling. "The season isn't over. This was only one night." His heart stopped for a beat. His eyes snapped to hers. "What do you mean? Not over?" Her lips curled into a small, sorrowful smile. "It lasts weeks and sometimes longer." The blood drained from his face. His pulse raced again. He thought the nightmare had ended, but in truth, it had only just begun. The human's chest tightened. At her words, his heart beat like a hammer. The night had nearly broken him, and now she was telling him it wasn't over, not even close. Weeks, maybe longer. He stared at her glowing eyes in the daylight, softer now but still burning deep. Tried to stand, but his legs wobbled beneath him. Exhaustion weighed on his body. I can't survive nights like that again," he whispered. His voice cracked with truth. He had fought fear, heat, and a predator in the dark, and somehow he had lived, but only barely. She rose slowly to her feet, her bare hands twisting together, her expression torn between sorrow and determination. "You don't understand. If you leave, I'll lose control again. I'll burn everything. Maybe even myself." Her words echoed in the ruined common room, broken furniture scattered like evidence of her madness. He wanted to shout, to accuse her of trapping him, but when his eyes met hers, all he saw was desperation. Not lies, not trickery, just raw need. He shook his head, pacing. "You can't put this on me. I'm just a human. I didn't ask for this." Her steps followed him, slow and careful. "And I didn't ask for you," she whispered. "But the bond is real. I feel it. You're the only one who can calm me. Without you, I'll lose myself completely." The word bond rang in his ears. He thought back to the night, the way the heat had shifted when she touched him, the way her trembling eased under his hand. It wasn't just her imagination. It had been real. He had felt it too. He turned, eyes narrowing. So what now? Am I your prisoner? Her glowing eyes softened. No, you are my lifeline. I won't chain you, I won't force you. But if you leave, you'll see the monster I become, and I don't want you to see me that way again. Silence stretched, broken only by the dripping rain. He looked out the window. The storm gone, sunlight piercing through the clouds. The city outside was alive, normal, while inside his world had changed forever. She stepped closer, her hand trembling as she reached for him, stopping inches from his arm. I don't want to scare you, but I need you not just for survival. I need you because you saw me at my worst and you stayed. His breath caught. He had no answer. His fear told him to run, to escape before the next night came, but his chest ached with something heavier, guilt, pity, and something else he didn't want to name. He lowered his eyes, whispering, "If I stay, what happens to me?" Her lips trembled. Then you save me again and again until the season ends, but it will change you too, because once the bond forms, it never fades. His stomach twisted. He wasn't ready for this. Not for weeks of fire. Not for a bond he didn't understand, but deep down, he knew he had already made his choice. Last night, when he held her trembling body and whispered for her to stay strong, he had chosen. She took another step closer. Her glowing eyes. Steady now. You survived one night, human. But can you survive the rest? His breath shook as he met her gaze. The storm was over, but the real trial had only begun, and with the weight of her words pressing down on him, he realized the truth. He was no longer just her roommate. He was bound to her for better or worse, because the season was not over, it had only just begun.